All right, final step in building an EXO, right, is try and turn yourself into a platform, okay? If you look at the history of the internet, Yahoo, BlackBerry, Nokia all failed to become platforms. Google, Apple, Facebook, Amazon all successfully became platforms, which means you become like a coral reef and you feed an ecosystem of people that are making their living off you. And now you're wired into the infrastructure.
How incentivized am I to support your platform when it's the means by which I earn my revenue?
Yeah, the average YouTube professional today is making like $4,000 a month.
It's crazy.
It's like an unbelievable amount of kind of value that's being generated, created. Mr. Beast, who's probably the most popular YouTuber out there, found out something amazing about his background. He studied YouTube videos for 3 years before he created his first video, because he wanted to understand the dynamics so fundamentally.
Understand the algorithms that drove the economics behind it, and it's all about algorithms. Let's share 2 EXOs just as to hammer this in, then we're gonna go to your questions. So one is a company called Thrasio, who was actually built by a fraternity brother of mine, Carlos Cashman. And what Carlos and his partners did was they went on to Amazon, they went on to and found companies that had low revenues, product sellers who had low revenues, but had extraordinary customer reviews. And if you think about it, what does that say? This supplier doesn't have a great marketing engine. And what they ended up doing was they began aggregating these.
First they were just advising them.
Yeah.
And then somebody said, why don't you just buy the company? And they're like, oh. So they started buying these companies. At one point, they put up a sign at an Amazon Marketplace conference, if you're over $1 million in revenue, we want to talk to you. And they had a lineup around the block of people wanting to talk to them. So they went
zero to a couple of billion?
In 2 years, they went from 0 to $2 billion in revenue. Okay, just think about that, 0 to $2 billion in revenue. And because they're using an AI to scour the marketplace, the whole thing is automated. They can literally find a product, reach out to the seller and say, hey, we think we can make you bigger, do you want to sell? Boom. So this is like a next generation CPG company. Startups are now saying, I'm the Thrasio of this, or I'm the Thrasio of dry cleaning or whatever. It's been unbelievably successful. The highest rated EXO that we ever saw, because we scored them all on that model, is GitHub, right? GitHub is a platform where developers can share code and watch each other. And I can rate your code, you can rate my code. So they've created, and they put in all the elements, gamification, algorithms, staff on demand, etc. Now, they were 8.5 years old, and Microsoft bought them for $7.5 billion, right? I remember talking to the accounting partner that was managing the acquisition for Microsoft, and he was freaking out. He's got to know what to put on the balance sheet. This company has no assets, no intellectual property, and basically no workforce. What are we buying? So he's literally trying to kill the deal because he can't figure out how to put any value against it in the Amazon and the Microsoft accounting systems. And finally, Satya Nadella says, just buy the damn thing. I want the community. And now with ChatGPT, they have access to all the GitHub repositories because GitHub has been that successful. My favorite thing about GitHub is because it's open source and everybody is fully transparent, your salary, if you're a software developer in Silicon Valley today, your salary has zero correlation to the university you went to, the degree you got, or the grades you got. It's 100% what is your GitHub rating, and that's how you're paid, right? So the value of a computer science degree just went to zero. So this is a profound commentary on the future of higher education. As we apply that to doctors and lawyers and so on, ChatGPT will really transform all of this. Let's note, by the way, since the year 2000, we have written about 3 trillion lines of code around the world. And when an LLM or AI has access to all those 3 trillion lines of code, the next code you write is going to be that much better. Because if I'm a developer, you did software development when you were younger, you write maybe 50,000 lines of code, 100,000 lines of code. Never do you have access instantly in real time to 3 trillion lines of code. So what's coming in the future is going to be unbelievably
the same thing in medicine, right? I like to tell people every day there's 7,000 medical journals that are articles published in medical journals, 7,000. How many has your doctor read this morning? An AI diagnostician will have consumed all of them, right? We're all going to have AI co-pilots, whether you're a doctor, a lawyer, an artist, a physician, whatever it might be.
I like the way you put it where you go, it's not an AI that's going to take your job, it's a human using AI that's going to take your job.